9 new coronavirus cases in Victoria today and no new deaths recorded. Reporter Stephanie Ferrier is in Melbourne. Hi, Steph. What does this mean for the easing of restrictions, do you think?
Yes, good morning, Lorna. As you mentioned, 9 new cases, so that is good. We're down into the single digits again after having 12 yesterday. We had 2 days of single digits earlier, so this means that our all-important 14-day average has dropped slightly, down from 11.9 to 11.6. But of course, we're now in the final 14 days before we're due to take that next and significant step towards COVID normal, which is around October the 19th, which means that every day, today onwards, it's crucial that we get those numbers down as much as possible because they will all be going into that all-important 14-day average. Now, the original roadmap suggested that we needed to be under 5 for that 14-day rolling average. The health authorities are saying that they are prepared to be a little flexible now with that number, potentially just looking under the cases that are still under investigation rather than the total figure, which would also include those that are connected to known or contained outbreaks. So it's more about a matter of risk that's out there in the community. But as you mentioned, no lives lost. So that is really great news to hear for Victoria. Our death toll from coronavirus in this state is already up to 806, which is a really hard figure to bear. So it's great to see that at least today we have no deaths recorded. Just in terms of the 14-day rolling average, we do have a slight uptick in the regional area. That's up from 0.02 to 0.03. That's because they had one case in the Mitchell Shire, which was part of this Butcher Club Chadstone outbreak, which is now encompassing some 20 people. However, we do see that they have no mystery cases, of course. In Victoria, our mystery case number, which is another really key number, that is remaining static at 13. Now, we were told yesterday that there were 3 other mystery cases that had been flagged which weren't in the statistics, so they've obviously gone in and another 3 have come out, but we do need to get that number below 5. Probably that's more important to health authorities than that new case overall number because of the risk, as I mentioned, in the community.
Steph, is it the end of the school holidays there? Are some children going back to school?
Yes, that's right. So we have some of our children actually returning to face-to-face classes. First of all, that's the regional school children, the primary school children that aren't connected to a secondary school as well. They will be going back for the first time in months back to actual classes. We also have our most senior students, those year 12 and 11s that are doing their VCE and the VCAL, the vocational-based course. They're also going back as of today, preparing for their general achievement test, which is all important for them. And unfortunately, they're going to actually have to do that wearing masks. So you can just imagine how difficult that might be when the nerves will already be up. But that is the new situation that we have here. For primary metropolitan kids, well, they've got 1 more week of remote learning and then they will be going back as of next Monday. And the only people that leaves, or the only cohort, is the grade 7s to 10s. We still have no definitive timeline as to when they're going to be going back to class, but the Premier Daniel Andrews said yesterday that more would be said on that very soon. So hopefully there is a light at the end of the tunnel for all of those school kids and also the long-suffering parents as well.
All right, Stephanie, thanks very much for that. No news yet on when the Daniel Andrews news conference might be. We'll bring it to you, of course, live on the ABC News channel. Now, coronavirus restrictions at Sydney's most popular beach will be put to the test today, with temperatures forecast to exceed 30 degrees in the city. Reporter Alexia Atwood is at Bondi Beach. Alexia, morning to you. Looks pretty busy already.
Yeah, good morning, Lorna. It is quite busy because it is incredibly sunny. It's the long weekend, it's school holidays, it's a public holiday, all things that sound normally very nice. But of course, in a pandemic, it is a little dangerous, especially at places here like Bondi Beach, which is notorious for having seen cases where people are not physically distancing, and we've made international headlines and had to shut down the beach. But hopefully that doesn't happen today, this long weekend. The Waverley Council Council have issued a statement. They've said so far people have been doing really well. They've been keeping that recommended towel length apart. And authorities are also saying that if you come down to the beach, soak up the sun, have a bit of a swim, but then do go home, leave room for everyone else to enjoy the beach so that people can rotate through. Authorities are also advising that just because you need to physically distance doesn't mean that's an excuse to not swim between the flags. And also, if you're trying to find less popular beaches like Bondi Beach, make sure that they are patrolled because authorities say, surf lifesavers say that if they can't see you, they can't save you.
How is New South Wales faring in terms of case numbers, Alexia?
Lorna, we are doing extremely well. We have gone 9 consecutive reporting periods where there have been no cases of community transmission, just 2 cases in hotel quarantine in the last reporting period. But our Health Minister, Brad Hazzard, he has told the ABC this morning that we can anticipate that we will hit double digits. We will get to 10 consecutive days with no cases of community transmission, but we are waiting for those official figures at 11 a.m. Now, obviously, the New South Wales government has so much confidence right now that they're encouraging public servants to actually stop working from home if it is possible, head into the cities, head into the offices, potentially consider staggered start times so that public transport isn't overcrowded. And they're also hoping that the private sector will follow suit and people will go into the cities and start stimulating the New South Wales economy.
Alexia, thank you. There has been a major spike in coronavirus cases in the United Kingdom, with 23,000 infections reported in the past day. Reporter Nick Dole has more from London.
There are 2 main reasons for this huge spike. One of them is the natural rise in infections in the UK, but the other reason, we're told, is a technical fault. So on Friday, the cases were around 7,000. On Saturday, they shot up to 13,000. And we've just got those Sunday figures through, 23,000. We're told the reason for that is that due to some sort of a technical computer issue, some of the cases that should have been counted in previous days weren't. And so now they're being tacked on to today's totals. But, there is a very clear trend of this virus spreading. That's despite all the new restrictions. There's a curfew on bars and restaurants at 10 p.m. There's a rule that says that people can't socialise in groups of more than 6. Despite that, the numbers are rising. And the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, says, I know you're frustrated. I know you're furious with the government, but you have to stay the course. This government has been criticised for its problems, particularly with the test and trace system, which critics say simply isn't working like it should, and also for mixed messaging. And the Prime Minister was trying out a new kind of message on television over the weekend.
What we want people to do is to behave fearlessly but with common sense, to follow the guidance, whether national or local. But, I've got to tell you, in all candour, it's going to continue to be bumpy through to Christmas.
He was diagnosed with COVID-19 back in March, and since then, some of his colleagues have been saying privately that he's essentially not performing like he used to. He's not the same man that he once was. He addressed that criticism today. He says, well, yeah, maybe I don't have a spring in my step like I once did, but there's a good reason for that. That's because tens of thousands of Britons have died and we're facing a national crisis. So he says that he's generally feeling well. Of course, this nearly killed him. He was in intensive care. He says that the whole experience made him realise that he was, quote, too fat. But he says, in his words, that he's as fit as several butcher's dogs. So I think we can take that to mean that he's fighting fit, and he'll certainly need his strength. 23,000 cases reported today. He's got a big task ahead of him.